This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn, the guy in the blue shirt, and his sidekick, John Donalo, wearing a Cleveland Barons shirt. Nobody knows who they are right now. And it's time for What in the World, actually on a Tuesday, guys.
Oh, all right. We're back to as close to normal as we'll ever be. On Tuesdays at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time. Yes, it is. What in the World? Everybody's favorite weird news show. And I'm your host, everybody's favorite weird news show host, Paul Seaburn. I'm watching all kind of stuff happening on the screen here. Who knows what's going to happen today? We'll just play it by ear. We're recovering from the eclipse, as I'm sure everybody else is. As far as I know, we can all still see, so none of us stared into the sun.
Nope.
Everybody was crying, was worrying about. I checked with everyone I knew that was out that day, and the traffic wasn't too bad. So I think everybody survived and had a good time. Yeah. So even though you missed us because we were busy doing other things last week, eclipse related, we're back. We are back, and by we I mean that first voice that was in your ear, Karen Hale, the our producer, the media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, our platform. Oh, she's got so many great podcasts on newclevelandradio.net. Go log in, or you don't even have to log in. Just go there, find us, find out how to download us on Spotify and Apple and all that good stuff. Oh, and especially on YouTube, because we've got photos to go with our great stories today. And some super stories. So you'll want to see those either now or later on when you come back and look at us again. And then check out all the other stories, other podcasts on newclevelandradio.net. Also, check out Karen's other service, Yes I Can Coaching with Karen. She is a coach. Her coaching service is our sponsor. If you want to know how to do anything better, there's no better coach than Karen Hale. So please check that out as well. All right, we got all our plugs in for Karen. Let's go over to our Cleveland Barons guy, John Donalo, host of What in the World of Sports with John Donalo, our color commentator, my old buddy, fraternity brother extraordinaire. How you doing, John?
Doing good, Paul and Karen and audience. We are on vacation in Florida, so we are not in our normal environs, and really excited about doing the show again. Like you said, Paul, on Tuesday, our normal slot. So it's our comfort zone. We're in
Yes.
that zone
Oh, there you go. That's right.
zone where we do our best. So
Yeah. The low bar, but we do our best on Tuesdays at 3:30.
I didn't want to mention that, but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what a great, it's a beautiful day here. It's a beautiful day in Florida. By here, I mean Northeast Ohio. That's where we all live. That's where we're broadcasting from in three different locations, fairly close to each other. I've got a couple of Northeast Ohio stories that I'll be talking about, but we want to salute someone who was born in the Cleveland area, moved to Columbus, played for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and now she is the new draftee for the Dallas Wings. And I wrote her name down somewhere. It is J.C. Sheldon, or J.C. Sheldon, drafted as a guard by the Dallas Wings, who's our favorite WNBA basketball team since we don't have one in Cleveland. So we like them.
That's right.
So congratulations, JC. And we were talking about the WNBA draft before the show. What an extravaganza for women. I thought it was really great. John, I know you watched it. Did you
Yeah, I
watch it? I think you did. Yeah.
No, I did, yeah, and it was good because there's a certain amount of attention that was really spent here in the last month, just nationally with all the things that had come about with the tournament, and then
Yeah.
the draft was just on Sunday, I believe it was the draft, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Last night. It was
Monday.
last night. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's good. It's great, and it's good to see have some balance there, have some equality in terms of women being on the same plane as men are, if you will, because they
Yeah.
play brand of basketball as well. You got to
And
respect.
it was great for Cleveland because the women's Final Four was hosted here. So it was a real coup for Cleveland to have that, and in a year when so many people were just becoming aware of women's basketball. So I think that's great. let's see, what do we got today besides sports? So if you're interested in the Loch Ness Monster, as I'm sure everybody is, just like me, we've got the first official Loch Ness Monster sighting of 2024. Yes, we're going back in time. We have a time travel story as well. We'll go back to 1924, see what they're doing then. Let's see. Oh, I've got some strange jobs. This is for you, Karen, and some unusual products that we may want to, some businesses we may want to get into. John, I've got a huge number of Bigfoot stories with photos. So you're going to like this. Sightings all over the place.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, he's excited. He moves closer to the camera when it's Bigfoot time. This was a great story about how the theory is that modern music is looking more and more like the 60s rock that we all listen to, 60s and 70s, and listen to on the oldie station. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that's happening. Our first movie recommendation. This is we've never done a movie recommendation before. We're doing one now. You'll understand why when you hear it. Some more odd news. I've got some world records. John's got some trivia. He's got a great sport for us this week. So, and then of course we play everybody's favorite weird news game, Bluff the Co-host. So let's get right to it. I want to thank. I'll thank all of our listeners ahead of time, just like I do at the end of the show. Please, you can visit me on Facebook. Just look me up. You can Google me. That'll take you to some places. You can contact us through newclevelandradio.net through Karen. We love to hear from you. I want to mention this week we heard from our old buddy Mark down in Austin, and Mark he likes to send us stuff. This week he sent us some great story ideas, some great strange sport. So Mark, thanks again. And get back on the let's see, what does he do? He does the walking thing, the treadmill. I believe, yeah, the walking thing. Obviously, I don't spend much time in the gym. Anyways, thanks, Mark. Okay, let's see. We said hi to JC Sheldon. Well, okay, Karen, we got our first story is for Karen Hale, our co-host and producer here. Always looking for a second job, or depending on how many bills she has to pay, an eighth job. So I've got, and we're all in that boat. Here's a great job for you, Karen. Regular listeners have probably heard us talk about the Karen's dream job, and besides podcasting and coaching, her dream job is driving the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Well, she's never been able to get that job, but a new one has come up that's almost as good. And while I'm talking a bit about it here, let's see if I can get the photo up here. There we go. The Planters Peanut Company.
I saw that.
Yeah, they've copied the Oscar Mayer people, and they've created a nutmobile, which looks like a giant peanut. And by giant, I mean bus size.
In the world, with Paul Seaburn, the guy in the blue shirt.
Are you hearing that feedback, Karen?
A Cleveland Baron shirt.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry about that. We have too many sounds going on here. Yes. So let's see. This is the Planters is looking for 3 people to join their team for driving and promoting, being a host or hostess on the Nutmobile. They drive around the country. They go to festivals. They pass out nuts. Talk about nuts. I don't know what else you would do on a Nutmobile. I heard a rumor though about the name Nutmobile. That was also the Secret Service code name for the bus that takes congressional members back and forth from the parking lot. The Nutmobile. The best part of the job from former employees, they said, they like to pull into an auto repair shop in the Nutmobile and say, I heard a nut rattling under the hood. Do you think you can find it? Another fun thing they like to do, they like to follow a bread truck and get into a traffic jam, and they make kind of a peanut butter and jam sandwich. Okay. That's it. So Karen, get your application in now to drive or be a hostess on the Nutmobile.
there's a problem. You need 3 people. So there,
I wasn't quite sure. I think they only have one nutmobile, so this must be a new thing. And yeah, I guess it's a big job, so a
well,
lot of nuts to pass out.
if Rich and I do this, one of you has to come with us.
Oh, of course, yeah,
Okay.
we can do a remote.
All right.
Yeah, and also sure, or drive or pass out peanuts or eat peanuts. I don't know.
We're willing
Okay.
to learn. We're willing to learn. So,
There we go. That's right, John. Okay, so regular listeners of your show know that my buddy John is a collector. He's a collector of trivia. He's also a collector of sports memorabilia and rock memorabilia. So here's something else for you to collect, John. There's a group of people around the country who call themselves Stick Nation. And what they do is they pick up sticks from their yard, from the woods, from along the side of the road. They photograph them, they post them online, and then they rate the sticks, theirs and others. So we have a photo up here of a guy holding a stick that was rated as a 5 out of 10. Now, how do they rate them? On looks. I can't believe this. Looks, smell. Okay, so you gotta take a whiff of whatever this wood is, shapes, and other criteria. I have a friend who showed this story to his dog, and the dog made one of those looks like, "What the heck are you talking about? You chase sticks, you don't put them on the internet."
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah. People who collect sticks are a bunch of stickos, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. It's just, being a trash collector and getting paid for it is one thing, but doing this for free because it's supposed to be fun. I don't know. If somebody out there is listening and they're one of these stick people, members of Stick Nation, please let us know what the fun part of it is.
Yeah.
They're mad at me though. They may not, because I found a stick and I posted it, and they pointed out that and I only rated it a 7 out of 10 because it had a felt tip on one end and a rubber tip on the other, and it smelled like chalk and beer. It smelled like beer too. So you can kind of figure what kind of stick it was. John, I'll throw that one at you.
I don't know. I am lost, Paul, on that.
Here, I'll show you a picture. It's a Q stick.
Ah.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That's a segue into our next story here. So how we love to talk about world records here. This guy is a world record holder. Now, what we're looking at is a man shooting pool or billiards, depending on the part of the country or the part of the world where you are. One of them, he's got his leg up on the table. Why is he doing that? Because he set a world record, but not just any world record. He is now the world record holder. His name is Florian Kohler. He's in France. He set the world record for sinking the most pool trick shots in 48 hours. He played pool for 48 hours on the same table, same balls, and had a select group of trick shots he was supposed to perform. He performed an incredible 1,816 trick shots in a 48-hour period.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, even more amazing. His name is Florian. It's not fat. He's skinny. He's not from Minnesota. He has no idea who Jackie Gleason is. For our old timers out there, they'll get that reference. He shot pool for 48 hours. I play pool for an hour or so, and the 8-ball starts talking to me like those 8 balls. You should find something else to do. That's what it normally tells me. So the way this worked, he had 120 verified tricks that he could do. And there were judges there to make sure he did them correctly. And those were the only tricks that he could do. And he had to do them in a specific order. So he would try each one all the way through. If he made it, he got a tick on the scorecard. If he didn't, he had to skip over and do it again the next time around. So he said until he went through 48 hours and 1,800 tricks. Biggest problem, he said his back started to bother him after 8 hours because he's bending over the table. He had to reach down and get the balls out of the ball return. So he had lower back pain. He had pain in his shoulder. He had pain in his neck. He had blisters on his hand. He even had burns on his fingertips. Now, the only time that anything like that ever happened to me shooting pool, I was playing for money and I lost my wallet. And when I had the guy that, I got taken by these pool sharks, and that's what they did. They burned my fingers and
Oh,
yeah, I know. Oh,
rough
so yeah,
day.
yeah, right. I get it. Okay. All right. Let's move on to something that all of our paranormal fans are interested in. The Loch Ness Monster, my favorite monster. First official sighting of the Loch Ness Monster for 2024. We've talked about some sightings, but they weren't official. This is the first official one, reported by Perry and Shannon Malm is their name, from Ireland. They were visiting the Loch Ness in Scotland on their vacation with their children, and they saw this. Let's put a photo up here of what they saw. So fortunately, there's one of those handy dandy orange circles so you can see what they're
Yeah.
looking at. So they were near the castle, the Urquhart Castle, which is where many of the sightings are. They were on the shore, not watching on TV. And Shannon, the wife, spotted this head. She said it was a head floating in the water. They don't look like they're too far from shore. They didn't say how far they were. The head was bobbing up and down. She said it was moving against the current, so they assumed that it was something that was swimming, not a log or a fish or something like that. So the husband, what did I say? His name was Perry. He said he didn't believe in the Loch Ness Monster before, but now he does. Let's take another photo here. There's a close up. Here's a closer shot, and then I'll
Oh,
get
that's even so much worse.
Hold
Kind of
on.
blends into the waves, it seems like. That image
Yeah.
almost blends
Oh.
into the waves.
This one's even closer. Now this one you can see what looks like it
Yeah.
might be an eye.
Yeah.
So I thought, if that was the first photo, I'd believe him right away. So they really zoomed the heck out of this photo, and looks for those not looking at it, it looks like it might be an alligator head or something like that. But they're Canadian. My point. No, I'm sorry. I said they were Irish. They're Canadian. They're from Canada, which means they're honest. Canadians are honest people. I mean, have you ever seen anybody argue about a call at a hockey game? No, because Canadians are honest, right, John? There's never any fights in a hockey
Paul, I
game.
agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Yes.
So, and it's not a sturgeon. Somebody said, I was reading some of the comments, they said it's a sturgeon. If it was a sturgeon, they would serve Loch Ness Monster caviar at all of the restaurants. And they don't. So it's not a sturgeon.
An interesting point I'd like to bring out, I think, is that
Sure.
it looks like it's, that object, if it is the Loch Ness, it's pretty big, right? I mean,
Yes.
by scale, it looks like a pretty big object. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Yeah.
One of the better photos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the better photos we've seen. So those of you listening to us, come visit us on YouTube. You can take a look at a nice photo of what some people think is the Loch Ness Monster. All right, let's go to another famous creature, not a paranormal creature, someone who we see every year, and that's the famous Punxsutawney Phil groundhog. The Punxsutawney Groundhog Club in Pennsylvania announced that Punxsutawney Phyllis, who is Punxsutawney Phil's wife, in case you didn't figure that out, who always says behind every great groundhog is a female groundhog. Now we know she was the mother, and they are the proud parent of two healthy little baby groundhogs. If you want a cute little picture of a baby groundhog, there's one right there. So Phyllis, they interviewed Phyllis, of course, because now she's a celebrity. She said it was a difficult labor because the first of the two babies stuck their head out, saw his shadow, and jumped back in and wanted to stay in there for 6 more weeks. She said, no, it's time. Believe it or not, groundhogs are only pregnant for a month, and then they have their babies. So it's a pretty fast gestation period, I believe that's called. I don't know if you knew this, but groundhogs are also called whistle pigs. whistle pigs, um, which I didn't know this. They used to work construction a lot, and that's what they were called there. They're always whistling at the female groundhogs walking by.
Art imitates life. Yes, it does.
Believe it or not, groundhogs are the large. Do you know? I didn't realize this. They're the largest member of the squirrel family. That big thing that the guy holds every year on February 2nd is a member of the squirrel family. And I didn't know this, but on Groundhog Day, if one of the squirrels in your yard sees a shadow, that means that he made it across the street without getting run over. So, but that doesn't mean anything about the weather, but they're just happy for that. So
celebrate the small victories.
yeah, groundhogs, very interesting little animals. We'll try and keep tabs on how the babies are doing. Okay, according to a new study, this is amazed me. This is our rock story here. According to a new study, songs have become simpler, more repetitive, and increasingly negative recently because of streaming services. So instead of people listening to albums or CD, they're just streaming songs. There's a rise in short music videos on TikTok, and people prefer to listening to music in the background rather than listening to the words and an entire album. Now, when I saw that the songs are becoming simpler and more repetitive, I said, no, they're not. And I think every baby boomer out there said, no, they're not, because every single one of us knows a repetitive song from the 60s. And I'm going to start it off here with us, and I'm not going to sing it, but there was a song by Steam. John, remember the band Steam?
I do remember the songs. I do remember the band Steam. Yes.
Yeah. And the repetitive song was "Na Na Hey Hey, Kiss Him Goodbye."
It was. Yes, it was.
Yeah, the opening line, "Na na 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 hey hey, kiss him goodbye." That's pretty repetitive to me, and pretty negative too, if you ask me. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember at high school basketball games when the team, your opponent was being beaten or whatever, or was about to lose. That song was sung by the student body. So
you better believe it, as loud as we possibly could. That song, it came out a few years before, but Steam actually did it in 1969. That was when they and it was like it made it to like number 5 on the charts. Here's a couple more for you. See if you can remember the repetitive chorus. The Police, the dee doo doo song. Remember that one?
I do remember that. That was like in the early 80s.
Yeah, right. Sing along, John. What was the next line after dee doo 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 dee da da da?
That's all I want to say to you. I believe that's what it is.
I had to reset my sound here. What was it again?
I think he said, or the line then goes, "That's all I want to say to you," if I have that right.
All I want to say to you. Oh, very good. Okay, very good. Song was written by Sting as a comment on how people love simple sounding songs. So I guess he was right. How about this one by the Crystals, the Do Ron Ron? I met him on a Monday and my heart stood still. The Do Ron Ron Ron, the Do Ron Ron. Why we sang that, or why the Crystals sang that, I don't know. But wait, there's more. Second line. Someone told me that his name was Bill. What did I say? The Do Ron Ron Ron, the Do Ron Ron. Maybe she had a crush on some guy named Ron. She's spending
I think so.
Okay, my favorite, and this was by Manfred Mann and from a famous movie. There she was, just walking down the street singing, do-wah-diddy-diddy, dum-diddy-do.
Holding our hands as natural as can be now.
There you go, John. That song, again, it was on the top of the Billboard chart, done by somebody else, and then Manfred Mann did it, and it was huge. Do you remember the name of the movie that it played a famous part in?
Oh, I don't, unfortunately, Paul and Karen. I don't recall. No, I don't.
Stripes with Bill Murray
Oh,
and
right,
Harold
yeah,
Ramis
right,
and
okay.
John Candy.
Sure,
They
sure,
they
sure.
enlisted in the army, and Bill Murray was the platoon leader, and the way he trained his troops to march was by singing that song, the do what was it? Do Wah Diddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Famous segment. The believe it or not, because of that, army units actually used that song to teach real soldiers how to march. I thought that was unbelievable. Good for Bill Murray. All right.
It's a great story, Paul.
Yeah. Okay, so we go from number one hits to number one products. You're not going to believe this. So we've all gone to movies. We've all eaten popcorn at movies, and especially if you get the bucket, you have to do something with the bucket. It's not always convenient to put it on your lap, especially when you're doing something else with your hands or who knows what. So a guy in I think he's in California. Took him 10 years, but he invented the solution to the popcorn bucket problem, and that is the hands-free popcorn bucket. What he did was he took a large drink um, uh, cup, 48-ounce drink cup. He cut the top of it off. He glued it to the bottom of a popcorn bucket so that it fits inside the cup holder on the edge of your seat. And you don't have to hold the bucket on your lap. It's in the drink cup holder. Um,
Ah,
I thought that was
ingenious.
pretty amazing.
Great
Yeah.
at the baseball game. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was making them. He was just buying empty buckets and cups and making them. Then he finally got a contract and he makes them out of plastic now. Um, he made the first prototype in 2014. He's been on Shark Tank a couple of times. They haven't bought it yet, but he's actually selling them. My question is, how do you know which cup holder you're allowed to put it into? That's always a problem with me. What a cup holder. That's what I use the armrest for. I arm wrestle with the person sitting
Yeah.
next to me. That's how
Oh,
we
my.
decide. That's why nobody sits next to me at the theater anymore. But what do you think? Good idea or not? Would you
I
invest?
like
I like it. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, sure.
I think it'd be good for your car too.
Yes.
It fits in the cup holder in your car.
Yeah.
Oh, multi-purpose.
Yeah, I mean, you probably shouldn't be eating popcorn while you're driving, but that's a subject for another show. Okay. All right. Speaking of eating, a popular new cafe in Osaka, Japan, has banned all talking, cell phone use, and music during dinner, so customers can enjoy silence while they eat. Here's a photo of the customers enjoying silence while they eat. Um, Another smart move that they did to ensure the silence, they also banned ordering raw celery, carrots, and any products made with beans. That for sure keeps it quiet. How else do they keep it quiet? How do you order your food? You point to a picture on the menu and they bring it out to you. I did that once. I went to Denny's. I pointed to a picture on the menu. The waitress came back to me with a plate with a menu on it.
I guess it serves you right, Paul. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. I know, Jack. I get punished. I do pay for my nonsense. I know. But I saved the day. I pointed to a picture of ketchup and she brought it, and it wasn't too bad. I like people talking in the restaurant because how else would I know not to order a steak if I didn't hear the guy at the next table yelling at the waiter that the steak tastes like shoe leather?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need stuff like that. Remember when we were taught to chew with our mouths closed? One of the
Oh,
reasons,
yes, absolutely. Sure.
yeah, to be quiet.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, nobody does that anymore. I went to a restaurant the other day. They didn't have menus, but I knew what was on the menu because I looked at the wall and I looked at the tablecloth, and you could see what was left. Yeah, I'll have some of that, but be not chewed. So I don't know. Would you prefer a quiet restaurant, John?
I would in a way, but to your point, part of the dining experience is talking. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I think for a change of pace, this would be okay. but I was hoped that it wouldn't spread, to other countries or spread to the US here. It would make for, I think, a different dining experience. Not necessarily a bad one, but it would be
Right.
definitely.
My favorite restaurant, and this is, I've never been there, but it's a real restaurant, but it inspired a restaurant on television. And that was the restaurant on the first couple of years of Saturday Night Live, where all they served was cheeseburgers and no Coke, Pepsi. Do you remember that?
Those are
Yep.
fantastic skits. Those are fantastic skits. And
Yeah.
Paul,
Yeah.
do you have the name of the restaurant? I mean, there's obviously a name of it, right?
Wait. The restaurant on the show was called the Olympia Cafe.
That's it. Okay, right.
The restaurant that it was based on in Chicago is the Billy Goat Tavern on Lower North Michigan Avenue in Chicago. It's still open. You can go there. They have pictures and all kind of stuff. So it was a typical greasy spoon, very similar to what you see on the show. Don Novello, and this is my Cleveland reference here. Don Novello played Father Guido Sarducci on Saturday Night Live for
well.
many years. Don Novello grew up in Cleveland. We're going to talk about him in a minute. He said that it's a fun place to go to. He highly recommends it. He was born in Ashtabula, Ohio, which is east of here. Is that right?
Due east.
Yes.
Due east.
Yes.
Yeah, east of here. He went to Lorain High School, so he moved to the west side. Went to Lorain, graduated from Lorain High School, graduated from the University of Dayton. So he spent his youth in the Cleveland area. Created the Father Guido Sarducci character in 1973. I love this. He was in a Goodwill store and he found the Monsignor's outfit. Now, Monsignor is an honorary title given to priest, and you wear the hat with the little fur ball on the top. He bought it for $7.50 and played Father Guido Sarducci for the rest of his career. $7.50, yeah, and plus a lifetime of Catholic education as well. So he didn't have an Italian accent, but he put one on to be the Italian. He was the correspondent from the Vatican newspaper. I didn't know this. He was actually he introduced that character on the Smothers Brothers show before he did it on Saturday Night Live, and I was religious in both religion and in fanaticism viewer of the Smothers Brothers. So Father Guido Sarducci in 1981 went to the Vatican in character and got arrested because for impersonating a priest. He was in an area to do an interview where photography was banned. And when they tried to get rid of him, they asked him for his ID. And when they found out he wasn't a priest, he arrested him. They dropped the charges after begging and pleading, I guess. I don't know. Okay. I know John's been waiting patiently for the Bigfoot story. So we're going to go to the Bigfoot stories right now. So hold on to your hat, John, your Baron shirt, whatever it is. You don't have a hat on today. Hold on to your Baron shirt and your chair.
Okay.
Wait till you see these. So first one comes from Australia. Regular listeners know that the Bigfoot in Australia is called the Yowie. Great name for a creature. So a man in Australia, his name is Frank Booth, posted on Facebook some pictures of the Yowie that he saw. Oh, there's Father Guido. So here's the first one. He took two images. Yeah, he was on a beach, and he got a very clear picture of this, what he said was a Yowie walking on the beach. He was in Victoria, which was east of Melbourne. The images show an upright creature, very hairy, very furry, moving across the beach, and he said it then went into a cluster of trees. There you go. There. This one looks like it's standing on the tree stump, but it's not. It's behind the tree stump. He said that it looked very muscular to him. Now, people who have looked at these photos have said no. Some agreed with him. Others said it's definitely a costume. You can see the loose fit on the body. Somebody else said there's wrinkles in the legs. Somebody else said if you zoom in, you can see how baggy it is, which, I don't think so. I think that this could be a Bigfoot who was on one of those Ozempic diets and lost a lot of weight. And his fur is just hanging on him. Give
Sure.
the poor Bigfoot a break for
Poor guy.
going on a diet. So they said that's all I have to say about that. What do you think, John?
Well, I think by comparison, Paul and Karen, the first photo that you showed that's up there now, um, I think in the realm of Bigfoot photos, I think is somewhat reasonable. I'm not saying that's definitely a Bigfoot, but I think in general, a more convincing photo. I think it really is.
Pretty clear. Yeah, it's pretty clear. Um, I can see what they're saying. The legs do look
Short.
a little loose.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But we're not watching it in motion. Unfortunately, all we're looking at is still photos. So,
Right.
circumstantial evidence. Better than most, John. Would you say that? Better
I
than
would say yes,
the
definitely.
average?
Yeah,
Yeah.
better than
Okay.
average for sure. Yes.
Yeah. The other one there, it's already going into the woods. It's in a shadow, not quite as
Not
not
quite
quite
as defined. No, no.
yeah. Okay, well, wait till you see these photos. These are the best photos I've ever seen of Bigfoot. Coming up next. This one comes from Salina, Ohio. Believe it or not, Salina, Ohio is down by Dayton. And there's a fairgrounds down there. The Mercer County Fairgrounds in Salina, Ohio, has unveiled photos of the best Bigfoot you'll ever see. So let's take a look at it. Let John, because I don't think John has
Oh
seen it yet.
my.
This is a sculpture, a log sculpture of made with chainsaws of Bigfoot. It's a couple 100 feet high. It weighs between 600 and 700 pounds. The head alone, they said, weighs between 600 and 700 pounds. So I don't know how much the body weighs. I'm sure it's hollow, but that's what it's made of. It's made from logs that were cut by chainsaws. If you want to take a look at the foot here, there's a full view
Wow.
of Bigfoot lounging there. The face, he kind of looks like he's disappointed that he's so close to a fairgrounds, and yet the tractor didn't bring him some elephant ears to munch on while he's posing.
Yeah.
A whole wagon full of those fried things. The
Well,
take a look at this photo here. So this is a picture of his
Ooh.
foot. His foot, each toe is an entire log. That gives you some idea just how big this sculpture is. I think I've got one more here. There we go. There's looking up at his face. He would be drooling down, or maybe his nose might be shooting drool down on you. So what do you think about that, John?
well, I'll tell you what, Paul and Karen, clearly it's the biggest Bigfoot sculpture I've ever seen. I mean, but there's not even one that comes close to this one. Look how massive it is. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I this is the kind of thing that I would enjoy seeing in someone's yard. Not my yard, because then there wouldn't be any yard left. But so wait, so I thought this was it. This is the best one I've seen. And I hear from another place, and let's see if I can bring this photo up here. I thought this was the best one. The in Indiana, at the French Lick Cabins at Patoka Lake in Indiana, they have this, which is yet another
Wow.
Bigfoot carved out of logs. Now, it looks awfully similar to the one we just looked at, and that's
Yes.
because the same company makes it. Company name is
Wow.
the Bear Hollow Chainsaw Company, and I think they might be in Indiana. I don't think they're in Ohio. So look at this one's a little different. He's got feet that are look closer to feet. Looks kind of like he's sunk into the quicksand there a bit. And he looks a little off color. It's dawn or dusk, so I thought he looked kind of purple. But how do you like that one? Look at the teeth. Look at the teeth on him.
Yeah, the teeth are really pronounced. And boy, I tell you what, I'm going to put it in the same category as the last photo you had, Paul, because again, this is a huge, huge Bigfoot. Wow.
Yeah. You know what this means? This means that there's a company actually making a profit. A
That is
logging
correct.
company
Yes, that is correct. How about
creating Bigfoots out of logs. This is better than Burning Man. I was thinking, oh, they should set it on fire like they do at Burning Man. They'd have this huge festival. But it's too
What
pretty. It's too beautiful.
It says, please do not touch. You can't tell me that kids don't try to climb on this.
Oh,
I
yeah,
know,
you
I
would
know.
think so. Yeah, you would think so, Karen, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they have, you see those pickup trucks there? There's armed guards on the pickup.
Oh,
Got
boy.
it.
Okay, so if you don't want one made out of logs, I got an even better one for you. And this one comes from Kinsley, Kansas. The Coyote Welding Company has created this Bigfoot. Now, for those of you who can't see it, this is a 12-foot tall metal Bigfoot. 12-foot tall. This is like the robot in The Day the Earth Stood Still. Remember that movie?
Yes, I
That's what
do. Sure.
if that robot was Bigfoot, that's what we would be looking at.
Wow.
12 feet tall, on display in front of their company to get people to come in and order, I don't know, acetylene tanks or whatever else they make, whatever else they weld.
That's another unique sculpture, but I'll tell you what, for me personally, the metal doesn't translate as well as the
No.
wood does for some reason.
Oh yeah, a little more futuristic here, a little more futuristic.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned that movie to segue into the next thing, and that's the movie that I want to plug. Believe it or not, opening this week across the country, including in Cleveland, Ohio, right down the street from me and from Karen and from John, if he were here, at the Cinemark Cinema, is a movie called Sasquatch Sunset.
Oh my gosh.
You know, if I was in town, I would have to go see that movie just for the sake of the title. I
I'm
mean,
Well,
sure
Donna
you
and I
can
will-
find a theater there.
we will be going this week, and we'll do a review next week. So this is a new feature film that follows a family of Bigfoot. It was filmed entirely in Humboldt County, California, which is a huge Bigfoot sighting area. It's in the redwood forest. The early reviews, it starts on Thursday in Cleveland. Early reviews, people are saying it looks good. Let's take a look at a couple of the Bigfoots here. Okay, how about that photo, John? So this,
wow.
this
Yeah,
is a
I mean,
Bigfoot couple.
as natural as a Bigfoot can be, I guess, right? But
now, there's sex in this movie. It's R-rated. So the Bigfoot on the right is. I watch. Do yourself a favor and look at the trailer on YouTube, and then you'll see Bigfoot's having sex. The female is the one that's hiding lower down in the photo, so you can't see her female parts, but you can see them in the movie, John. If you're interested.
who would have thought this is possible? That's all I can.
Yeah.
It's R-rated. It's a mockumentary, so they play it like it's real. Has gross body humor, graphic Bigfoot sex, and get ready, copious poop throwing.
Oh,
Oh.
oh boy.
Our kind of movie.
Really?
So if that's not enough, for those of you who are regular listeners of the show, we talk about Bigfoot all the time. One of the ways Bigfoot communicates is by knocking on wood. So of course, here's a scene of 3 Bigfoots with massive branches in their hand, and in the trailer you can see them knocking and creating the sounds and waiting for responses. And by the way, again, the bushes are strategically placed here, but you can get a hint of the X-rated part, the R-rated body parts on these Bigfoot.
Wow.
So
Like I said again, who would have thought this is possible? But obviously,
I know. Look at this. This review from the LA Times leaves a big footprint on the soul.
Wow.
They also said that they described the film as poignant, and it holds a mirror up to our own narcissism. So, they're looking for deep meanings in these. So all your questions will be answered in this movie, John. How they get knocked up, what they
well, it's a must see, obviously. So when we get back to Cleveland, I'm hoping it'll still be out. I'll be able
Don't
to.
worry, we'll do a road trip. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, one more to get into John's sports segment. So I got one more world record. This guy, Kenta Adachi of Japan, broke a world record Oh, get ready for this. Your shoulders are going to be sore. The most pull-ups in 24 hours by a male. He did in 24 hours 8,940 pull-ups. Here's a photo of him in case you don't
No
believe it. There's a
way.
countdown. He did 23 hours there. Little guy, broke the existing record by 300. So he's going good. You know what they did? Yeah, I found out how he kept going. They hung a donut on a string above him, and he kept trying to catch, trying to catch it with his
Motivation,
mouth.
huh? Wow.
Yeah, carrot and stick kind of thing, John. You know, they kept bobbing it up and down for him.
Sure.
But this is a typical gym class story. They asked him how he got into competitive pull-ups. And John, I know you can relate to this. He wasn't in gym class, but he joined the Coast Guard, the Japanese Coast Guard. And one of the things he had to do was take a sports test. And one of the tests was chin-ups. And he could only do 12 out of 21, which was the minimum to get in. So he had to train himself to learn how to do the 21 in order to get in. He was so upset obsessed that he became obsessed by doing competitive chin-ups and eventually setting the world record.
Wow.
But he doesn't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He doesn't have, Arnold shoulders. They're small.
No, he doesn't. Right. Wow.
Yeah. But, Karen, next time you go on a trip on a plane, look for this guy, because if you need help putting your bag up in the overhead compartment,
he's the guy to do it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
He's your guy. He's your guy.
Now, is this a painful thing to do? You'd think his shoulders hurt. Let's take a look at his hand. Look at his hand.
Oh,
He said his hands were all worn. It's blistered. They're bloody. The poor guy, when he's leaving, he goes to leave the gym and he gets to the door, and instead of the door saying push, it says pull. He says he starts crying. I can't grab the handle.
wow.
Did you be able to have gloves, or does that?
He had gloves on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He had gloves on.
He had gloves on.
Yeah. Almost 9,000 pull-ups, John. This is
I know
this is pull-ups extreme, an extreme sport. And speaking of extreme sports, that's our segue into What in the World of Sports with John Donalo, everybody's favorite weird sports guy. Let's put his logo up here. So there we go. Every week I ask my old buddy John. We've known each other since college, fraternity brother. John knows more about sports than I can even begin to imagine. I ask him, John, find us a sport that fits with the theme. Real sport, sometimes strange, always funny. And every week he manages to find yet another strange sport. And strange does not begin to describe the sport that John has this week. John, we got your photos ready. Tell us what you're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, I will, Paul, and Karen and audience. Thanks for the introduction. Appreciate it. Yes, this sport is very, very strange. So the sport this week is Vinkensport, or Vinkensetting. And for those of you who do not speak Dutch, Vinkensetting means finch sitting, and Vinkensport means finch sport.
Okay, so there's a finch involved. Is the finch doing the sitting?
Yes, yes, he is. That's a very good photo. So this sport comes to us from Flanders, which is the Dutch-speaking region of Belgium, and involves people sitting while male finches compete to, get ready for this, make the highest number of bird calls in 1 hour.
When I saw this photo, the first thing I thought was, here's a sport we all can compete in. That's what they're doing. We're looking at probably 20 elderly men sitting on folding chairs watching birds in cages. My kind of sport. What else is involved, John? There must be something else.
Well, yeah, I'll give us a little bit of background too. So the earliest known records of Vinkensport and Vinkeneers go back to 1593. And this occurred when Flemish merchants were competing in the sport. By the late 19th century, Vinken setting's popularity had diminished significantly, but it did experience a resurgence after World War I, and it is still considered a recognized competition. You can learn more about it at the National Volk Sport Museum Vinkensport in the village of Holste in Belgium. So this goes back to prior to 1600. And
Wow.
here's an interesting point. While animal rights activists have opposed the sport for centuries, in 2007, it was estimated that there were over 13,000 Vinkeners or finchers, and these finchers breed or bred, if you will, over 10,000 birds each year.
Wow.
You got to really think about that in terms of
Yeah.
numbers. Okay.
And I mentioned that the previous photos were mostly older men sitting on a folding chair. Women are also. This is a nice young lady here with her box of bird about to compete in finch sitting.
Now, in a
Tell us more, John, please.
I know. Well, in a Vinken Sport contest, as you saw earlier in the photos, a neatly lined row of small cages each houses a male finch, and they are set 6 feet apart from each other along a street. An official timekeeper begins and ends each contest by waving a red flag. Each time a bird sings a correct terminated flourish to their call, a tally mark is in chalk is made on a long wooden stick. The bird that sings the most times in 1 hour wins the contest. Champion level finches can regularly sing hundreds of calls in that allotted hour.
So it almost looks like it's on the honor system here, where each person keeps track of how many chirps their bird made,
Right.
called,
It
and
is on
marks it on their stick.
yes.
Yeah.
So
You can see how intensely these people are watching their birds. They all look like they're asleep, but they
Yeah.
got their chalk at their stick.
now Vinkeners, okay, they claim, or excuse me, they use a variety of methods to increase the number of calls in their birds, including, get ready for this, selective breeding programs, high protein diets, and even simulating the finches with music and recordings of bird songs so that their finches will be able to, again, make more calls. Now,
Wow.
some Vinkeners claim that finches from different regions of Belgium actually sing in different dialects. They believe, now wait, they believe that the birds from the Dutch-speaking area of Flanders sing in Dutch, so to speak, and those those birds from the French-speaking region of Wallonia sing undesirably in French. So there's obviously a certain degree of uh, separation here in terms of which finches are singing in what dialect. Also, there are speed singing contests that do take place yearly in Guyana, Trinidad, Suriname, and also Brazil. Now, like other sports, Vinken sport has had its share of cheating scandals.
Oh,
Now, one finch was recording, or it was recorded as doing 1,278 calls in 1 hour, but the owner was later accused of doping the bird with testosterone.
oh no.
And after and after one and after another bird sang exactly the same number of calls in 3 consecutive rounds, the cage was opened and a mini CD player was discovered inside it.
Oh no.
Oh, that's cheating.
That is
Yeah.
weird in the truest sense of the word. I mean, there was no honor. Some people had no honor. That's the best I can say. Now, while Vinken sport is not a sport in the US right now, knowing how to whistle like a finch comes in handy at Denny's when you want to order a Belgian waffle. So there is some value in in this sport, and again, how it relates to, when you're about to have
Oh.
something to eat, as a Belgian waffle.
If you're not watching this on YouTube, please do.
Yes.
Just see the rows of 20, 30, 40 people gazing intently on sitting on their folding chairs, looking at this bird and counting and marking it on a chalk. It does, according to our good buddy John Denalo. John, what a great sport! Vinkin, I'm not even going to try to Vinkin sport. That
Yeah, I
sounds
mean,
about right.
it's really an amazing it's an amazing sport. It is competition, obviously, and it goes back to prior to 1600.
Oh, I believe that. Yeah,
And
I believe
it's,
that.
it's with those Flemish merchants competing with one another, right? I'm better than you, and I can have
Yeah.
a bird that will be able to have more calls than your bird, but we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Okay. So you said that this is not popular in the United States?
It is not popular in the US. I mean, there are some pockets where some areas where people do practice this sport, but it's not very popular at all.
Well, it may not be popular, but it has been played in Cleveland, Ohio. And John, I'm surprised that you don't remember when we were in college, we actually participated in a sport very similar to this.
Really, I don't remember any of this, Paul. You have to bring it to my attention, please.
Well, I don't remember. It wasn't. I don't think we used finches. I think it was plain old parakeets. Um, but we were challenged by another fraternity to do something with birds and chirping, and there was beer involved. So of course we readily joined in. Uh, so of course the fraternity picked John and I to be the participant. And all I remember is we were supposed to get a bird and someone who knew something about singing, and that was me and John. So this is what we ended up with here. This is what we ended up. So I believe that's me as the bird, and I believe that's John, much taller than he is now, the singer. So I'm in a bird costume trying to. I don't think that doesn't look much like a parakeet, more like a pigeon. But John, you definitely look like a singer in that photo. And needless to say, we lost.
Go figure that one. Go figure that one. Oh my
A
gosh.
good time was had by all, and much beer was consumed, and that's all we really cared about. So, all right, John, again, great sport, Vinkin sport, finch sitting, something we can all participate in. I think that was definitely one of the most weird sports we've ever had on What in the World of Sports. So, thanks again for that.
You're
All
welcome.
right, so that means it's time for Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news show. I've got 3 stories similar to the ones we've been talking about all afternoon. One big difference: those stories were real. These stories may be real, they may be a bluff, and it's up to you, playing while you're listening to the podcast, Karen and John, to decide which is which. Betting is allowed, so place your bets. John and Karen, hands on the buzzer. Let's get right to story number 1. The hot new trend in Japan for women who would rather twist than trim is braided nose hair. It's not
God.
for everyone, since most nose hairs fall out before they get long enough to braid. But for those women who can grow it, salons in Tokyo are training their hair braiders to work small and braid nasal hairs to look like natural nose rings. While some men can also grow nose hairs long enough to braid, the salons say they don't see any male customers. But some braiders think that may change when they learn how to braid long ear hairs. Salons in the US say they don't expect it to catch on here, but that's the same thing they said about sushi. Okay, so the hot trend in Japan, braiding nose hairs at women's salons. Karen, real, bluff, and would you do it?
I hope that this is just your crazy imagination, because I think it's disgusting, and no, I would not do it. So I think it's a spoof or whatever. It's not true.
It's a spoof and a bluff. Okay, Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with Karen on this because I think Japanese culture in general, isn't it supposed to be like more respect for your body and more respect for how you maintain yourself. And then how would that's so counter to me, that you would have women doing something like this. To Karen's point, it is disgusting. It really is. So I'm gonna hope this one is a bluff.
Okay, John says it's a bluff. Karen says it's a bluff. I've been watching Shogun, and I don't know. I think they might try it myself, but they got those big swords; they could cut them off. Anyways, it's real or bluff. Let's check with the judges. The judges say that story for both of you, fortunately, is a bluff. So
Right.
Yeah, thank goodness. Thank
no one
goodness.
has to be grossed out when they go to Japan and look for people with braided nose hairs. Okay, that means the score is tied 1-1. Let's get right to story number 2. You may know them as underwear or tidy whities, but those Fruit of the Loom cotton briefs, the most popular brand, may have a new purpose in the kitchen as a handy hanging holder for keeping your bananas fresh. Yes, that sounds dirty, and it's probably why no one has tried it before. But banana growers have found that cotton is the best fabric for holding bananas because it keeps them fresh and spot free. And those Fruit of the Loom briefs are just the right size for a bunch. Just hang them from a door or a covered knob in your kitchen, and you'll have fresh bananas, plus something to talk about when your neighbors come over for coffee. Okay, so tidy whities, Fruit of the Loom briefs are the best thing to put your bananas in to keep them fresh. John, what do you say, real or bluff?
This is so strange. I think it's true. I mean, really, it's I'm going to say it's true. I can see people doing something like this. I mean, not that I would do it, but I can see people doing it.
Oh, not that I would do it, but I could see it. Okay, John. John says it's real. Karen, how about you?
Well, I think it's a bluff because if cotton is really good to keep the bananas fresh, I think somebody would have come up with a cotton bag to sell us because, hey, it's all about money. So I'm going to say it's a bluff. It's
Okay,
not.
Karen says it's a bluff. Maybe it's that little Fruit of the Loom label with the fruit on it that helps.
Maybe.
Uh-huh, sure.
All right, let's see again. Karen says it's a bluff. John says it's real. Let's check with the judges. The judges say, congratulations, Karen. That is a bluff. Sorry, John.
All right. Okay.
I was surprised you didn't express concern that it was clean tidy whities and not.
I would certainly hope they were clean. I mean, if they weren't, that would be gross.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Okay. So that means the score is 2-1 with Karen in the lead. But as everybody knows, I'm Bluff the co-host. Points are doubled in round number 3. So John could come back, and he has been doing very well lately. He's been on a streak. So let's see how he does with story number 3. Nothing is more annoying than the chirping sound of a cricket when you're trying to fall asleep. But some Chinese sleep doctors now say if you can't beat them or step on them, join them. That's because rubbing your legs and feet together like crickets, that's how they make that chirping sound, can actually massage the nerve endings in your feet and act like a quick foot massage to relax you enough to fall asleep. It only takes a few minutes, and you can do it in bed or while you're watching TV. Just don't rub your legs together while wearing corduroy pajamas, or you'll also become an annoying chirper. Okay. So rubbing your legs together like a cricket helps you fall asleep. What do you say, Karen? Real or bluff?
Well, see, I'm sitting here barefoot, so I'm rubbing my feet together.
Oh, gee, wait a minute.
It's not making me tired. I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Okay, Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
I'm torn on this one. I mean, I'm not sure why I'm torn on this one, but I am. I'm going to say this is, it's going to be real. I'm going to say this is real. I'm going to go out on a limb on this one.
Okay, John says it's real. Karen says it's a bluff. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, holy smoke, he did it again. John, that's a real story. Congratulations. Yeah. So John wins the match 3-2. It is definitely an acupressure kind of thing. So if you're having trouble falling asleep, these Japanese doctors say rub your feet together, rub your legs together just like a cricket. Then only takes a few minutes and you'll fall asleep. Just don't do it during when you're listening to What in the World, everybody's
Absolutely
favorite
don't.
new
Yeah. Unless
podcast.
you're me and it wakes you up. So
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I want to thank Karen Hale, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, our producer and all-around great person, host of or sponsor of many of our show, the producer of Yes I Can Coaching with Karen, and producer of many great podcasts at newclevelandradio.net. So please check us out, check out all the great podcasts, check out her coaching, check everything out. Send her messages about the show. You can also send them to me via Facebook. So thank you, Karen. Thank you to my old buddy, John Donalo, who is on vacation. We are so jealous, but John's got something to look forward to now, coming back to Cleveland to go see the Bigfoot movie. So John.
And I can't wait to hear the review. Karen, I hope you go see it also. I mean, I'm not sure,
absolutely.
but I'd like to hear what everybody says about that film. So
let me tell you, it's going to take every ounce of my persuasive abilities just to get the lovely Donna to go.
oh, I can see that happening for sure.
There you go. That's right. I'll either be the only person there or one of a couple. And as always, I want to thank everybody out there listening to our show, watching it on YouTube, whatever platform you're on, however you're participating. You're the reason why we do this show every week. Without you, we would not be doing it. We hope you have as much fun listening to the podcast as we do putting it on. And we do have a lot of fun putting it on. That's why we're here. So on that note, I hope it's a beautiful day where you are. It's a beautiful day here in Cleveland. Looking out John's window behind him, it looks like a gorgeous day where you're at.
It is. Yes, it is.
Go out and enjoy the rest of your day. And we will be back next Tuesday at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time. As John said, that's the place where we're supposed to be. So
That's right.
we'll be where we do our best then.